The Vols offense was clicking on all cylinders. Unfortunately, the defense was not. But the Vols come out on top 49-36 over the Kentucky Wildcats, and we are LSU Tiger fans going forward. My name's Boogie Bentley.
I am Snake DA.
And this is JP.
And this is Talkin VAWLS episode 10. So welcome back to the Talkin VAWLS studios, fellas. We took a week off. Let's just go ahead and be honest right off the bat here. I didn't feel like recording. I didn't want to talk about a Tennessee Tech victory. We're back in SEC play, and here we are back in the studio. So how are things going there, Snake DA?
Going well. I'm ready to close out this season and bring it to Atlanta.
Feeling confident, are you? Feeling confident?
I am. I think the Vols maybe got a little confidence back. Let's see if we can keep rolling.
I think the games left on the schedule, I have some confidence too, but how confident are you? And JP, we'll just go ahead and open up the discussion right off the bat. Fellas, how confident are you that the LSU Tigers take care of business in Baton Rouge, beat Florida, and basically send the Vols to Atlanta?
I think if the Vols don't get to Atlanta, it's because they will get beat one of these next two games. I think LSU will demolish Florida Saturday.
Well, we were talking about it, waiting on you to get hooked up here on Skype. If the Vols lose to Missouri or Vanderbilt, they don't deserve to be playing in the SEC championship game. So that's all there is to it. We could almost say because they lost to South Carolina, they don't deserve it. And that's what it comes down to. If Florida takes care of business, then Florida deserves to represent the SEC East in Atlanta. That's all you can really say about the whole situation.
Yeah, I agree. If they come down and they pull out a win against LSU, that they deserve it. They've done what they need to do, and we've laid an egg. So we need some help at this point.
Who thought we would be in this situation? If I told you before the season that if Tennessee beat Florida and Georgia both, that they would need help to make it to Atlanta, just that friggin' South Carolina game, man, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, does it not? Just that one freaking game, and we say this all the time, but me and Snake talked about it right before we came on here. If you throw that South Carolina game out the window, if the Vols take care of business in that game, do you think this fan base is 100% united going forward? Or do you think we still have a little bit of rumblings and grumblings going on in Vol Nation? JP, that's directed to you.
Well, there's always going to be a few of them fans that's
Negavols like you.
That's never pleased for anything. But no, that South Carolina game, I said tonight that they lost that game, that it unfortunately, I think it set this program back some from what Jones was trying to do, and I think that's true. I mean, look, we're not even ranked in the polls still, which is hard for me to even understand, which I'm not worried about the polls anyway, but I think it is ridiculous when you look at teams that Tennessee has beat and we're not even ranked. I mean, Florida's still in there. Virginia Tech got beat by a bad Georgia Tech team at home Saturday. With all they had to do was win that game to clinch their Coastal Division, and they come out and absolutely play terrible, but they're still ranked. How is that? And Tennessee, two of their three losses, well, one of them's to the number one team in the nation, and the other one was number 8 ranked team until this past weekend when they got exposed again. So but that goes back to it. I think not only has the fan base got a bad taste in their mouth, I think the pollsters do, and I think that the national media does as well.
Well, that South Carolina game stings, man. They suck. They're not a good football team.
Well,
so to lose to them, man, it like I said, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
It hurts. But I think, like you said, Boogie, if we don't lose that game, I think this fan base is still, almost rabid. And I think that the media hype would be picking back up. You lose 3 in a row, and one of those losses is just a horrible loss like South Carolina. Then you got some ground to make up with the media and the polls and all that stuff. I'm fine with us being out of the polls. I don't care. all I care about is us winning these next 2 games. We came out and took care of business against Kentucky, and then I think we got a pretty challenging game coming up against Missouri. But I think that the fan base, if we would not have lost to South Carolina, I think that I think almost everybody'd still be on board.
What did you think going into the Kentucky game? We didn't record. We kind of talked about it a little before the Tennessee Tech game, but we were all three going back and forth. We didn't record because not a lot changed. They drilled Tennessee Tech. We knew that's what they were going to do. We had already kind of talked about the last games going forward, so we just didn't record. But what were your thoughts going into Kentucky? Did you feel confident, or were you a little worried that maybe Kentucky beats Tennessee in Knoxville?
I was worried about stopping the run, and I think we saw some of that. And I was hoping that maybe getting Sutton back, we'd be able to do some more stuff, loading up the box a little bit better and stopping some of the, their wildcat package and all that. But I think we just kind of came out and offense kind of got on fire there, and Kentucky didn't really have a chance. But if it was a close game, I think it would have been. We might have been in trouble.
Obviously, the turnover there in the red zone helped. That was huge.
Yep.
But also, the defense played poor. There's no – you can't really cover that up or say anything different. You can look at it different ways. Some injuries. Look at the defensive line. You basically had 4 defensive ends playing across the front 4. That's going to make a difference when you're playing what some people say the best running team in the SEC East. That's going to make a difference. But did you think that Sutton didn't look very good? And I know he's coming off the injury. I saw a lot of people praising him, but he didn't look the same to me. And I'm not hating on the guy. He just came back from an injury. I get it, but I didn't understand the praise for him because there was a lot of times that I thought normal Cam Sutton makes a play there, and he was getting beat.
I mean, I think it took him a little while to get back in the game, the flow of the game and stuff. But I mean, I thought a couple of times there he played he played the ball very, very well. I mean, trust me,
clearly
I'm not going to complain.
Clearly, the difference was the running game. The running game's the difference.
I mean, I thought Darren Kirkland Jr. played a bad football game Saturday. I don't think anybody that had anything to do with that run game played well. And of course, I know a lot of it has to do with what we've got on the defensive line right now. But linebackers, they didn't play well at all. I thought Kirkland had a poor game. And actually, I don't think he played that well against South Carolina either. So I don't know if he's not 100% still, or just trying to get back into the flow of it, and stuff like that. But we're gonna need them this week. We're gonna need Cam Sutton and Kirkland, because it's actually probably going to be on the opposite end of the spectrum this week against Missouri. Instead of them trying to run the ball, they're going to throw it all over the field. And I'm certainly glad that we got Sutton back for this game. I think that this game will show him better than what that Kentucky game did.
I wasn't going to go to Missouri yet. I was going to stay with Kentucky, but since you flipped the script, we'll roll with it. I want to know why Snake is scared of Missouri versus Kentucky.
Well,
you said you were kind of a little concerned with Kentucky's run game, but didn't seem too worried overall. But now here we face the Missouri game, and once again you seem a little more nervous than everybody else is. And I know that's your nature, but I want you to defend yourself and tell me why you're scared of this piss poor Missouri team, because they suck.
Well, I mean, our stats look good, but just like JP said, they've got a quarterback that, I don't know, Butch Jones calls him a NFL caliber quarterback. I don't know about that, but they throw the ball all over the place, and we're just gonna. I don't trust our defensive backs, and we've got, like you said, when we have 4 defensive ends on the front, are we going to be able to get any pressure? Probably not up the middle. I mean, they're going to triple team Barnett. If we can't stop those, I mean, they've got some really pretty good wide receivers also. If we can't stop those guys, it's going to be a shootout. And if we come out and lay an egg like we did against South Carolina, we're not going to win this game.
So what do you think about Middle Tennessee? Do you think Middle Tennessee is a good football team?
Not this year.
So you think if Tennessee was playing Middle Tennessee this week and the SEC East relied on that game, you'd feel pretty confident?
Yeah, but how many points did Middle Tennessee score?
51.
So are we going to be able to score 51 points? That's the question.
Do you think Missouri's defense is better than Kentucky's? I'm putting you on the hot seat here,
I don't
brother.
know.
Putting you on the hot seat.
I don't know that there's much difference.
I think if Josh Dobbs shows up like he did against Kentucky, I think Tennessee throttles Missouri. I think the defense just needs to do just enough to get it done. I do not see Tennessee losing to Missouri. If they do, then it's been fun, boys, because this is the last episode of Talkin VAWLS. Let's talk about Josh Dobbs. JP, how would you assess his play against Kentucky?
I thought he played well. I mean, he threw the ball well. I thought the game plan was pretty good. I mean, obviously he rushed for 140 some yards. Had several touchdowns. What did he account for? Five touchdowns, or was it more than that? By the time
I think it was 3 passing and two rushing. Yeah, 5 total.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that he played well, and I know we were going back and forth about it Saturday, and I mean, you expect him to play well against Kentucky. It's just that, unfortunately, in the games that we've needed him against the quality opponents, it's kind of hard for him.
I just wish he could be consistent because, like you just said, but not even the teams. Alabama obviously was probably his worst game as a volunteer, but why the struggles against South Carolina? Because against Kentucky, even some of his incompletions were money throws, just right on the money where only the receiver could make a play just a little out of reach, but good throws. And I think his completion percentage was mid-60s, maybe 64, 65%. I can't remember exactly.
I think the struggles against South Carolina was Jalen Hurd. I mean,
You think so?
I mean, I think it's obvious. I mean,
one of the things that stuck out to me majorly in the Kentucky game was the outside zone runs.
Mm-hmm.
When they were running that with Hurd, man, we've complained about that blocking scheme till we're blue in the face, have we not?
Yeah.
But there were several times they ran that outside zone play to Kamara, and you could see why that's a good blocking scheme. The pocket's moving to the outside, and it just seemed like he had his choice. Follow the blockers, and then he hits the hole so fast he's gone. And you see how that blocking scheme works. But it felt like the first time all season that I could see it, that I was like, my goodness, look at the holes that he has. So I think Hurd did hold this team back early in the season. But they also freed Josh Dobbs against Kentucky and let him loose.
I don't know that Hurd was holding them back, but I think it was more of a locker room unity kind of thing. I think all season Hurd's just been, fussing.
The cancer?
Yeah, I think he's been a cancer for the team. I think that now they've come together, and I think that, Dobbs really needed that Tennessee Tech game. I think he really needed that to get his confidence back because he coming out, getting manhandled against Alabama, and then coming up, we had 7 turnovers against A&M, and then laying an egg at South Carolina. The confidence is going to be big for them going forward. I think Dobbs, he's got it back now, and I think the locker room chemistry is back. I'm hoping that we're going to be rolling.
Well, I think we definitely seen that we're, and it's hard to believe. I didn't think I'd ever say it up until this year, but I think it shows that we're a better offense without Hurd. I mean, I don't know if it was just his attitude bringing everybody down, or he truly wasn't a fit, which we know that he wasn't a fit for the offense. But and I tell you, I'm still impressed with that John Kelly. I mean, that kid can run. I mean, he was a steal.
I wanted him to hit 100. I wanted him to hit 100 yards so bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't. 300-yard rushes would have been amazing.
Yeah. But I think Tennessee this week, I think that they can definitely put up the points the same way they did against Kentucky. But I think the defense will continue to struggle. I just don't see this defense being able to really stop anybody at this point with the injuries that they've got. So I would imagine that the score would be similar to what we saw against Kentucky.
We have debated DeBoard all year long. What do you think of his play calling against Kentucky? I know you said you thought the game plan was solid against Kentucky. Do you really feel like it changed much? I think Dobbs definitely ran the football more, which to me is the key to this offense, and we beat that into the ground. But do you think it's really DeBoard, or are we kind of seeing now the whole Hurd thing that we talked about? Do you think that Hurd clearly didn't fit the offense? Kamara and Kelly open the offense up a little more. We run Dobbs a little more. What did you think of DeBoard's game plan? You said you thought it was good, so were you satisfied with his play calling against Kentucky?
Yeah, I mean, I was satisfied. My gosh, I mean, we scored 49 points, so I'm not going to complain about that. I mean,
it looked like anybody could have called that game, though.
That's what I'm saying, though. Do you think that he's all of a sudden knows what he's doing, or do you think execution changed losing Hurd? This is what I've complained about all season long when people want to fire DeBoard. Not a lot changed in that game, but now magically because they scored 49 points, people are saying, "Well, that was a good game plan." That Shoop sucks. Shoop can't call a good defense now. Well, come on, it's easy after the fact to say that. But what changed? What changed?
And I'm not.
What changed is we're not playing a quality opponent.
Exactly.
That's what changed.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good point.
Against these top
that's
10 teams, is this scheme going to work? And I think that's the issue. Against these teams that are middle of the road, this scheme will run them over. When you get a defense up there, caliber of Alabama, somebody like that, then this scheme looks horrible.
Well, and I don't even think
it's the scheme looks horrible, or do you think it's Jimmy's and Joe's versus X's and O's?
Well, that's what I was going to say about Alabama. I mean, honestly, at this point in time, as bad as it pains me to say it, I don't even think comparing a team against playing Alabama is even fair, because they are just so light years ahead of everybody else, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I agree with DA. I mean, we've seen it, but I think anything more that hurts this offense is the Dobbs just not being accurate. I think that absolutely kills this offense, and I mean, he's great when he's on, but man, he can sure stink it up when he's not, and it's like it affects his running and everything, And I think a good defensive coordinator, I think Muschamp done it over there at South Carolina that game. He made Dobbs try to be an actual passing quarterback, because they took his legs away from him. So, and I think that's the thing that you have to do. But you do have to have the Jimmy and Joes to do that. So
yeah. But when your Joes don't match up with the Jimmies, you still got to come up with some kind of scheme to try to compete.
Well, yeah. I mean,
you can't just. Are you going to out scheme Saban though? I mean, really?
But you can try. I mean, it just looks like it looks like they're
I can try to shoot scratch golf, but that don't mean I'm going to do it.
Well, that means you're going to go out there and try, though. You're going to try something different, surely.
And then, when I shoot a 93, you going to tell me how bad I suck at golf. You going to blame it on the clubs, or you going to tell me that I suck at golf?
I'm going to blame it on both.
Well, I can tell you what.
That's the key. It's coaching and it's players. It's Jimmys and Joes. It's X's and O's.
Yeah. But these other teams seem to be able to highlight some players and do something a little different.
Well, why don't we talk about coaching? And I'm not talking about play calling. I'm talking about being able to develop these players.
My fear is that Butch Jones doesn't have what it takes to get us to the next level. To me,
what?
You can't. No, I've said this before.
I've never heard this.
I think he has improved the program. There's no doubt about it. Okay, and this year we looked at it, and what did we say? We said 10-2 is a great season, 9-3 is a good season.
Yep.
This next one, it's his back's got to be against the wall, because as a Tennessee fan, you can't be satisfied with just making it to the SEC championship. We can be right now, because that's where we're at in the state of this rebuilding process. But at some point, an SEC championship needs to come back to Knoxville. And I hope Butch Jones does it. I support Butch 100%. But I don't know that he's the guy. And
I don't think that he's the guy if he's hiring a swim coach to be his offensive coordinator. I mean, I'll just throw
the guy
that
that you just said called a great game
against
Saturday.
Kentucky.
That's ridiculous.
Against
no,
Kentucky.
but that's irrelevant.
Okay.
That's irrelevant to say. Man, it's ridiculous to sit there and say that. Did he call a good game against Texas A&M?
I bet.
How many points did they score against Texas A&M?
I could have went out there.
Did he call a good game against? Oh, bullcrap! You worked for a bank.
Points.
You couldn't go call a football game. There's a reason you work at a bank, and he's getting paid millions of dollars to coach football. I'm sick of hearing that crap, man.
I wish they would pay me that much money to do it, because I sure would give it a whirl, I'll tell you that.
Well, it's easy to sit there and poke your little jabs and say, swim coach this and swim coach that.
Well, he is.
How about you look at it? How about you look at it with a neutral point of view instead of being so freaking negative?
You're just the one that said you didn't think Butch Jones was going had what it had to go take us all the way to the top.
Very controlled and a legitimate point. I support him and hope that he can. But I'm not just saying he sucks. I
never said that.
He hired a swim coach.
That's all I'm saying.
You taking your little jabs is what you're doing.
No, I'm not. I'm just telling you.
His swim coach isn't a cheap shot.
He was a swim coach. I can't help that.
It's a VolQuest cheap shot, and you know it. You've been on there with the Reds too long.
He's a swim coach.
He's got a point, though. I mean, his point is that Butch is not. He doesn't think Butch is the man to get us there if he doesn't go out and get a better offensive coordinator.
That's all I'm saying.
And I think we all agree with that.
I think it's the offensive line coach.
Saturday, you said he needed to get rid of Shoop. And 2 weeks ago, you said that, or 3 weeks ago, you said Josh Dobbs needed to be on the bench. But this week, he played the greatest game of his career and had 5 touchdowns.
I never said.
All I'm saying is, let's look. You never said what?
I never said.
I'll pull up text messages.
I never said that he needed to get rid of Shoop. I never did.
No,
I said.
No. Did you say he should have benched Dobbs?
I would have benched Dobbs against South Carolina.
Yeah.
I would have done something to try to light a fire.
Okay. That South Carolina game was just nail-biter.
And you dropped that okay on me? Really? Josh Dobbs, you put him on the bench. The kid just balled out against Kentucky Saturday and led the team to victory. And you say I'm crazy for saying that the board called a good game against Kentucky.
I didn't say that. He did call a good game. I said it right here just 5 minutes ago and said he called a good game against Kentucky. But it's Kentucky. I mean, it's Kentucky.
So if you're Butch Jones, what do you do? So you fired a board, right?
No, I didn't even say that.
That's what you just said. That is what you just said. Why can't you stick to your guns?
When did I say that to fire him? I just said
2 minutes ago.
I just said that I don't think you made the comment that you didn't think Butch Jones had what it took.
I didn't say I didn't think. I said I don't know. There's a difference.
Okay. Well, I don't know that Mike DeBoard is the answer to take us to the next level. That's what I was saying there. I think Butch Jones has the potential to get us there because I think he has some of the capabilities to do that, but he's going to have to surround himself with somebody that has a little bit more imagination and can get some more effort and some better play out of some of these players, because I'm just not convinced that some of these players are developing the way that they should be.
See,
I'd like to see what these guys can do without Hurd and without that. I think I'm willing to give DeBoard.
I said that, yes.
Another season.
I said that last week.
Yeah, but earlier, Boogie, you said that getting to the SEC championship's not good enough. But for me, if we get to the SEC championship these next 3 years, even if we don't win it, if Tennessee gets there, I don't see really that big of a fuss out of people. I don't know.
Well, this year you can say that. Our fan base gets made fun of for saying this was a rebuild. Well, my goodness, anybody that has any common sense and knows anything about football realizes what Butch Jones was faced with when he came into Knoxville. I mean, it was a mess. So, to this point, getting to the SEC championship, that Atlanta was the goal this year. Next year, you need to get there without a gift. You don't need to drop one to a South Carolina and be sitting here with 2 games to play hoping that Florida drops one to LSU.
Yeah, you
need
to
get
control your
there.
destiny, yep.
But at what point? And this is straight from Swain's show on Monday, and I hate to just completely follow what he said, but at the same time, I agreed with it so much. It's like at some point, you as a fan base have to demand that SEC championship, and that's why I'm saying when I say I hope Butch can get it done, I'm not sure that he is the guy. I'm not saying you fire him now. That's ridiculous, and that's why I got so fired up at JP earlier, taking his swim coach shot or whatever. What you said about Butch needs to surround himself with people and you're not sure about DeBoer, I agree with that. It's the cheap shots of he's a swim coach or he sucks or this, that, and the other. That's what pisses me off. Don't tell me the problem. Tell me the problem and give me your solution. That's what I want to hear. And it's not – it is against JP because our text messages would prove it's against JP. But it's not just JP. It's the people that don't have a solution. They just want to fuss and complain and whine every time something goes wrong. Does that make sense?
Well, I think it's easy to get frustrated when you see, us runs the. I mean, you can get mad at Shoop for the first series of the game whenever we try to come out the first play and run I don't know if it was a nickel blitz or a corner blitz or something, and they just ran the other side and run 70 yards or something. Next play they run it right in, so it's easy to be
He got
frustrated.
schemed up.
I mean
Shoop got schemed up on that
happens.
first play big time.
And then when that happens, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, if Kentucky takes control of this game, we're not going to be able to come back. So
I mean, Kentucky gained 635 yards, 443 of them on the ground.
And there's no excuse for that. It's
Well,
Kentucky. You can say injuries, you can say this, that, and the other. I agree. There's no excuse for it. It's a bad game. At the end of the day, they came out and got the win.
I mean,
for us to sit here and complain about the yardage as bad as it was, yeah, it was awful. But the defense dug in the red zone, and they deserve some praise for that. They dug in, and they didn't give up touchdowns, man. And that was the difference in the ball game.
I'll give them praise for the win, and that's about it. I mean, Missouri, they gave up 582 yards to Kentucky. So, who knows?
Missouri's a bad football team.
I know.
They're
our
awful,
defense.
man.
I mean, our
They're
defense is
awful,
not
man.
much better than Missouri's defense, and probably it might not even be better at this point with the injuries.
The most points that they've scored against the SEC team this year is Georgia. They scored 27. They scored 26 Saturday against Vanderbilt.
What is wrong with the defense? What is going
it's part
on?
of it.
Why can they not?
Injuries.
Why can they? Well, it is the injuries do factor into it clearly, but
We don't have a defensive tackle left.
But what is with the arm tackles and I don't know. Saturday was
I
frustrating.
think it goes back to the point that about the need to surround yourself with better coaches. I mean, the defense.
I don't know.
Coaches.
I think we just got
coaches.
people that are trying to hang on. I mean, we got people out there that probably shouldn't be there or been moved around so much that we're just trying to hang on as a defense right now.
But how long has poor Mosley been down there? He's a junior, and I don't think the kid has turned around to look for football yet.
That might be technique what they're teaching them.
Well,
you're saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a move that Jones has to make this year. I mean, I'll just throw it out there. I think the defensive back coach, I think that they've got to look something there. I would love to see them bring Terry Fair back in. I think we need a form of all on staff. I would love to see them bring him back. Offensive line coach, don't even get me started there. Don't even get me started.
Let's see how we do these next two games, and
And we don't
couple
even
weeks
have a
after
quarterback
season, we can
coach.
be talking about
that
this
just blows
on
my
Talkin' VAWLS.
mind. It just blows my mind.
Snake's ready to sign off here. He must have a hamburger or something.
It blows my.
He's like, well, let's go ahead and get to predictions.
You guys are killing me. I want to go shoot myself or something.
It just blows my mind
not-
that we don't
I mean,
have
we-
a quarterback coach on staff.
We could go 9-3 very easily, and we got a chance to go to the SEC championship game. So, I mean, this season,
No,
It's a good season.
we're
It's a good
right
season.
where almost where we thought we'd be, pretty much. Other than the South Carolina.
Not almost.
loss,
Yeah, not almost. They are.
I saw a
Yeah.
stat
They are.
yesterday.
We were borderline. We were borderline 10-2, 9-3, back and forth. We all picked 10-2, and then they just crap the bed against South Carolina. That's
just
the season.
well-
you throw that game out, and we're right. We're not even where we thought we were. We're better than that. I'm a grown man.
Maybe this will make you feel better. I saw a stat yesterday. In the last 16 games over the course of last year and this year, out of the SEC schools, Alabama's 16-0. They got the best record, obviously. Guess who's second?
Oh well, Tennessee. They had the
13-3.
second,
13-3.
third longest streak in the nation going.
Yeah.
13-3 over their last 16 games.
That's why you have to look at Butch's. It's a body of work. You know, he's continuing to improve, but we're getting to that fine line where there's not a whole lot of improvement to do other than winning that SEC championship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how much higher
winning
can
big
you go?
games. He's got to win some big
Yes.
games.
Well, bottom
Florida
line
and Georgia
is,
in the same year. You can say how bad those teams were. When was the last time this team beat Florida and Georgia in the same season?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's
but-
huge.
We
It's so
shouldn't have
funny how
beat Georgia.
quickly people discredit Florida, but we talked about it against Kentucky. I got so mad at you guys because all before that game, the Kentucky team's tough, boys. We got our hands full. Don't you get too overconfident. They're pretty good. They got a good offense. And then as soon as Tennessee locks it up, I'm like, what's up now, boys? Kentucky sucks. Man, how about you give Tennessee credit for a win? You can't just sit there and say every team they beat sucks, and every time they lose, that team's great. It's so frustrating.
Are you taking this out on VaultQuest or on us?
You two. Saturday, this was the conversation we had.
Well, we gave up 635 yards. Of course, I mean, we had
Kentucky.
reason to be worried.
To Kentucky.
We had
You
reason
can
to
be
worried.
frustrated, but that's just it.
But
To who?
I'm happy
To who?
now that we got the
To who,
win.
JP?
I'm pumped
What-
up.
Okay,
I'm stoked.
You are. You quit responding, so you don't really.
Well,
count
I had
after
to.
that.
I had to go to my son's basketball game. I didn't have much choice.
To end this thing on a lighthearted note, it was so funny because right around after halftime, the Vols kind of picked up some steam. Everything was going good, and then JP sends a text out of the blue. Like the whole time, I'm like, man, I want to text him so bad. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not picking up my phone because things are going good. And then JP sends me a text. I'm like, you SOB, you killed the whole thing. But man, I don't know. This has been a heated, fun, exciting episode of Talkin VAWLS. Really. We're all so passionate. We all fuss and fight and argue for 4 hours every Saturday. But the good thing is, when the game's over, we all know that that's just who we are. I'm the Sunshine Pumper. JP's the Negaval. And Snake, you're just an instigator. That's all there is to it. Let's get into some Missouri predictions.
The board is terrible.
Shut up, man. God. At one point, you sent a text and I said, "Shut up, man. I know what you're doing." And then you sent another one before I hit send. I was like, "Oh wait, he was making a legit point." But I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna retaliate. I'll just leave it at that.
I had to let it go too because I was like, I was serious about that one, but
You made a really good point, but it was a 2 text point that I thought you were just being a smart aleck to get me fired up at JP. But let's do some predictions because this is getting out of hand. Who's
all
going
right.
first?
you. I want
Me?
to see what you pull out.
Well,
All your research this week. I want to know what you.
I've not done any. I don't even know what the spread is. But all I'm going to say is I think this Tennessee football team, especially the offense, not the defense. I think the offense is where the issues were. I think this is a different football team without Jalen Hurts. So I think they score a lot of points. I think the defense is probably going to struggle, but play a little bit better than they did against Kentucky. I'm going to say the Vols 38, Missouri 24. Vols come out on top. Does somebody know what the spread is?
I heard it was 15.
Yeah, it's around 15, 16.
What I say, 38. So
What'd you say? 38 what?
38, 24.
14.
I probably ought to add a touchdown to the Vols to hold on to my homerism.
It's like you've been reading the spread or something, the predicted scores out there. You pull it out every week.
I admit the week that me and JP picked the same score that I did look at the spread that week, but I didn't this week. I had no clue. So,
Yeah.
Snake, you go next. We'll let's let JP go next since you think Missouri's going to win by 2 touchdowns. So we'll let JP pick next.
I think it'll be similar to last week against Kentucky, but I would look for Missouri to gain more yards, obviously, through the air than on the ground. I hope to God we don't give up 443 yards rushing to Missouri. But I'm going to say...
It could be that through the air, though.
I'm going to say 44-31 Vols.
Somebody looked at the spread.
44 what?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll be similar.
Similar picks.
I think we're going to score in that. I think the Tennessee is going to score in the 40s. It just depends on our if we have those crazy turnovers again. You know,
We had 3.
This game's,
Yeah.
if we have 3 or more, we're in trouble, I think. But Missouri's going to throw the ball all over us, and we're going to have to come up with some picks and some stops. But they're going to score on us, I think. My pick is 42-35, with Missouri driving on the last possession with the chance to tie it.
God.
Oh my Lord! Do you know how bad our text thread will be if that's the case?
I won't have no fingernails. I don't have
JP
any
was
now.
cussing on the first drive Saturday. Here we go with this again.
Well,
Hey,
my
it's-
gosh.
man, I'm telling
First
you,
play, they
when
go
have we ever-
75 yards.
Yeah.
Then the
They're
second
gonna
play,
throw
they
the ball,
walk in
guys.
the end zone. Oh, yeah. I think they will. I think that they'll
let's
throw it
wrap-
on us.
Let's wrap this thing up. If you're listening to this podcast and you listen to this every single week, we got a lot of guys that do, and we appreciate your comments. But jump down here and hit subscribe, hit that like button, leave us a comment. It helps with the YouTube analytics. We get more views that way, and we appreciate it. But as always, you fellers got any parting words? Not even a courtesy laugh. God, it's freaking ridiculous.
I don't know.
Nothing?
I don't have any
Nothing?
parting word. Let's go win. We got to
Just win.
I think with as many pass attempts that Missouri's going to have, I think Derek Barnett will tie the Minister of Defense this week.
How did we not mention that till just now?
Oh,
man?
yeah.
What a special
I'm
kid
gonna
he
miss
is.
him.
We-
I
we've
think
talked
I'm
about
gonna
it.
cry.
We've talked about it in text so many times, man. I think people aren't going to realize just how special he was until it's too late.
He has been like he's the only guy that the VolQuest mods have hit true on from the day that he stepped foot on campus. I mean, you hear it every single year. Oh, so and so's beasting out.
But he's a beast.
He's a
in
beast.
practice.
He's gonna be a
balling
beast.
out in
And
practice.
then when the games roll around, he's like standing over on the bench picking his nose. You know, never gets in the game. But I remember like the very first practice. You know, they were raving
JP in
about
high school.
They were raving about Barnett and how he just had the motor and how he was just like sprinting down the field every drill and everything, just talking about how special that he looked. And that's like the only one that they've ever gotten right.
It seems like it.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's like they want to talk. They talk him up. They talk him up. But like Nigel Warrior, you know, they was saying he was beasting out. I mean, if Nigel Warrior can't be one of our starting safeties, then our safety play is horrible.
Good Lord. Let's end this thing before we start crapping on everybody.
Hey, I got a closing comment. How about this?
Okay, here we go. You
Hey.
didn't 2 minutes ago.
No, I
what do you got to
didn't.
say now?
Let's just do this for fun. What do you think's higher here? You think Cameron Sutton's going to have more picks or Barnett's going to have more sacks? Which one are you taking?
Barnett more sacks
You
all
think
day
so?
long.
Yeah.
I would almost bet my house on
Yeah.
I think they're going to throw the ball about 1 million times, so he's going to have the shots.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
Both of
he
them.
comes hard, man. He's a just straight pass rusher.
All right, let's close this out.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
Hit us up on Twitter and Facebook at Talkin VAWLS, VAWLS_pod. My name's Boogie Bentley.
I'm Snake D8.
And this is JP. Go Vols and go Tigers.
Jack Kerouac.